hope, my question is, it's easy to organize when the bad guys are doing bad things.
If they let you.
If they let you. Yeah. But I mean, there's always hope that you replace them. You know what to expect from bad guys. When the good guys are doing bad things and they're electorally your only option, how do you, I think on an individual level, both keep the hope, but also on an organizing level, convince people that we can get them to do something different? Because we can't, there is no alternative. We have to force this government to deliver for us and to meet the vision that we have. Otherwise, the risk is we elect the far right. Like, that's what will happen if this government doesn't deliver.
You know, we had a great grassroots campaign that helped elect Barack Obama president in 2008. And what we discovered was that he was campaigning by trying to maximize support, but he decided to govern by minimizing opposition. Boy, is that a different pathway. And an opportunity to reconfigure the American economy because of the economic was just wasted. And in some sense, it's one of the reasons we have the problem we have now. So unless there are mechanisms of accountability, meaningful accountability, why would you expect someone in office to do the right thing? I mean, how can I say, yes, virtuous people are important, but so are virtuous institutions. And virtuous institutions provide for some mechanisms of accountability. And so, you know, there's an excellent book about the US and the relationship of social movements to parties. Because in the US, the main driver of change has not come from within the electoral. It's come from movements outside who then put the pressure on parties and policy and all the rest of it. Otherwise, our system is so sclerotic, otherwise there would be no change. And so we have a long history of abolition, suffrage, first labor movement, temperance movement, which was much more complex than just don't drink, the civil rights movement. In other words, without movements, we'd really be stuck. Now, I don't know if that's the scene here or not, but I think when you confine yourself to the electoral process as the only way forward, that's a problem, because they also depend on power. They also have needs of others. They have needs in their own districts, but they have needs at a broader level in terms of allies and who supports who and all the rest of that. So there's a whole kind of power mapping project to look at and say, okay, well, who are the critical MPs? You know, where are they? You know, who's vulnerable, who's not? And I'm not advocating here, overthrow the leadership of the Labour Party. On the other hand, on the other hand, if the leadership is not leading in a way that's consistent with the commitments and expectations, they have to be challenged. And whether that challenge comes from within or outside or both, I don't know. But in other words, to me, that's where it starts, not where it ends. So I come back to this question about power. What are the needs they depend on to meet their interests? You know, what resources do you have that can affect those needs? You know, whether it's reputation, whether funding, whatever. You know the details much better than I do. I do have to say, though, that it's a different kind of challenge than we face, because you can unelect an MP. You can affect who is nominated to be the MP, not by spending $10 million, but by mobilizing people to turn out a meeting, at a party meeting, and actually decide who the candidate is. I wish we had something like that. We have nothing like that, nothing. But you have that. In Canada, they have that. In Australia, they have that, because you have the wisdom to have a parliamentary system, which is so much more proximate than ours. So I don't know, I hope that's helpful, but you gotta, I don't know, we have to fight the fight.